Hi everyone. I'm getting a lot of questions lately about a social media plan that I'm rolling out for a local elementary and middle school. So I thought I'd create a video and tell you a little bit about that project. So this is the school that I used to work at, that I taught at. And what's really nice about that is I know all of the staff there. I know kind of how the school works and operates and where they are as far as technology goes and how comfortable they are with technology. So that makes my job as a tech integration specialist a little easier because I know what I'm getting into right away. So the way this started is the superintendent of the school contacted me and said, we're interested in starting a social media campaign for our school. What they wanted it to be able to do is act as a way to kind of broadcast about the school and tell the unique and wonderful things that the school is doing. And this is a private Christian school, so they rely on enrollment to get their numbers up. And so they're really looking for a way to reach out to the local community and just advertise for the school, tell everyone what the school is doing really well. I actually like that approach because if you think about it, we're all advertising our schools in one way or another through Twitter and social media and whatever we're doing. And it's a really nice way to pull the community in and let them know what their local schools are doing. So that's actually a really good approach. So what I talk to them about is that Twitter isn't really a marketing tool. That's not what it was created for. It's not really great at that. It's not a good broadcasting medium. Does that mean that it can't be used for marketing? Absolutely not. It can be used for marketing. And what I told this group was, if you want to use it for marketing, the best way to go about that is letting Twitter be the platform that you tell your story on, because the only reason people follow you on Twitter is if you have a compelling story to tell. So that was the first piece of advice that I gave them, was don't approach this like you would other advertising where you're just telling people the great things that you think you do. Let this story of what your school is and does unfold, and let the people within your school tell that story. So they were looking, they've got a communications head, and the communications head was the one that was going to be tweeting. And I said, that's great, but I would recommend that you have the teachers tweet and also the students in the classroom, because they have such a different view of what's happening in the school than the communications manager does. So they can really tell that story well because they're living it every day, and it's more compelling when it's coming from the teacher's perspective, from the student's perspective, and they're able to share things that a communications manager may not see during the school day. The other great thing about that is it gives the students a way to connect globally. It gives teachers the ability to connect with other teachers. It also gives them the ability to connect with parents in a different way than they have in the past. So parents get kind of this sneak peek into the classroom, and they get to see what's happening all day long. And suddenly at the end of the day, instead of getting the "how was your day? It was fine. What'd you do? Nothing." Instead of that conversation when kids get home, now they have these specific topics to talk to their kids about, because it's like they've been sitting in the classroom right there with them all day. So they can say, how did that pop quiz go? How did chapter 3 of Wayside School is Falling Down end? Was it what you thought? And so these deeper conversations can start happening between home and school as well. It also gives us the opportunity within the school for the teachers to see what other classrooms are doing. I feel like so often teachers are really isolated in their own classrooms. We know what we're doing. We might know what our teammates are doing, but this really gives us a way as a school to bond together and see what each other are doing. So that was kind of the background and the purpose behind this. It's also a great learning opportunity for students. It gives them the chance to reflect on their learning throughout the day. So there were just a large number of things that this was doing for the school. So they hired me on to roll out this Twitter plan. And in order to get the best buy-in from the staff, and in order to not overwhelm the staff, the administration did a really smart thing. They asked me to come on, which of course I think that's smart. They asked me to come on and they said, we'd really like this to be as painless as possible for teachers. So would you create all the accounts for us? Would you connect everything the way that we want it connected? What they did is we connected Twitter accounts with a Facebook fan page. The reason we did that is because a lot of our parents aren't necessarily on Twitter, but nearly all of our parents are on Facebook. So it gave them the chance to see what was happening without the teachers doing a lot of extra work because we just connected the accounts. So I created Facebook fan pages for every teacher. I connected those accounts. I created lists of people to follow so that everyone in the school was starting out with a really good list of people to follow and people to learn from. And I just created this plan for how to roll out this social media campaign. So tomorrow is our first real meeting as a staff, and what I'll do tomorrow is we're having a tweet up. One thing I told the administration is, please, please, please do not let this be one more thing that the teachers just feel like it's one more box to check every day, one more thing on their plate. I really wanted it to be the best thing possible for kids. I didn't want it to feel like a burden on teachers. I didn't want it to feel like a burden for kids. And I wanted the truest purpose of it for the learning to shine through. So I didn't want this to look like your typical tech training where you go into the computer lab, you sit down and you learn, does that sound familiar? You learn all of the things. And then by the end of the, period, you've got, this list of notes and you go try it and you might enjoy it and you might hate it and whatever. So I really wanted to stay away from that. I wanted this to feel like something fun, and Twitter is such an easy entry point into technology because it's truly just like text messaging or just like, an instant message. And so I wanted to convey that to teachers. I wanted it to it's a social thing. It's social media. So I really wanted to play up the social aspect, that this is something that benefits us. This is something fun. It's not one more thing. It's really easy to implement, and here's why it's good for students. So we're holding a tweet up tomorrow. I said, please, can we not hold it in the school building? So we're actually holding it off campus at a local coffee shop. So I'm going to do a follow-up video, and I'll actually walk you through the steps because I did a paper tweet up is what we're going to do. And we're going to practice using the basics of Twitter on paper before we move to the technology, because I didn't want the technology to feel like a barrier for those who aren't comfortable with it. The other thing the administration did that was really smart is that they let the teachers decide if this was something that they wanted to try out in their classroom instead of mandating that it's every classroom's doing this. So I created accounts for every single classroom, but then we sent out an invitation. I met at one of their staff meetings and just presented and said, here's Twitter, here's what it can do, here's the social media, and gave them a really just broad overview of here's what it does. And we just invited whoever wanted to be a part of it to contact me so that they could be invited to the tweet up. Doing it that way, I think, puts teachers automatically in a different mindset, because now they're not thinking, oh, here's one thing, the administration wants me to do it, so I have to do it. Instead, it's something that they're deciding to do, and it's something that they're pursuing themselves to better themselves. And we got fantastic feedback out of a group of 30, that's the elementary school, 20 signed up to be at this tweet up and learn more and start implementing this in their classroom. So for a first run, for a first year, and they've never done this before, I think that's a fantastic start. So yeah, that's what we're doing, and I'll do a follow-up video with how I'm doing the paper tweet up. Thanks, guys. Bye.